Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time.
Before we begin today's very special episode, we wanted to give a shout out to our beloved Patreon supporter, our extreme venerator of Soireen, Lurks. So cover your ears, kids, because in this episode, we're going to talk about sex. And not just any kind of sex, but queer sex. And not just queer sex, but queer sex in season 1 of The Wheel of Time. Okay, so there's also some straight sex in there, but mostly we're going to talk about lesbian wizard sex. And while the four of us could absolutely talk about lesbian wizard sex amongst ourselves for an entire episode, we thought it'd be better if we had a sex expert, a sexpert, if you will, on the podcast to give us her insight. So please welcome half of the talented pair writing under the name of Kit Rocha, with more than a dozen romance novels under their belt, our first guest to the Queers of Time podcast, Bree Bridges.
Hello!
Yay!
Hi,
Bree! So Bree, thank you for being on our podcast as our very first guest. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the Wheel of Time community?
Sure. I am, as you stated, a romance author, which is actually not the career I envisioned for myself. I actually have a computer science degree and was going to be a programmer. And somehow something happened about 15 years ago, and I started writing weird sci-fi fantasy, dystopian, apocalyptic romance, and it actually became my career. It is how I pay my bills. I am very lucky. I love it. And honestly, I feel like Land and Nynaeve might have been part of the reason I became a romance writer, because when I was 15, I started reading this series. And I really think I made up a whole romance between them that was never actually in the books, like in my head. Just there's this entire wonderful thing that never actually happened. But yeah, I started reading The Wheel of Time in 1995 when I was 15 years old, and the slog got me. I think it was I think it was Crossroads of Twilight. I think I had saved up all my college money to buy that in hardcover. And all I wanted to know is if Egwene was ever going to get to the White Tower. And about halfway into the book, I was like, you know what? I will come back in a decade. And that is basically what I did. I got all the books. I reread everything leading up to A Memory of Light's release. And then when I saw the show, I still hadn't come back to fandom until the show was announced. And then I got increasingly, they started dropping casting, and I think it was the Emmons Field 5. I saw that, and I was like, okay, here we go. I'm going full fangirl. The brakes are off. And that was the end of it for me. I found Jenny, Lesbian Nerdy, and via her Discord, I found everything else, pretty much. And so I have loved being a part of this community, especially since I managed to somehow backslide into the queerer parts of it. Which is a good way to return.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've always really enjoyed, when I first got on Twitter, I always really enjoyed seeing all of your posts and your character summaries or the graphics. I enjoyed those a lot. No, those are fantastic. Speaking of Twitter, this episode did kind of start because of a Twitter poll that you did. I saw it and I immediately sent the other co-hosts a message, and I'm like, we're going to do an episode on this because even though it's not queer centric, it's queer adjacent. So Bree, in May, you did a Twitter poll that said, I'm curious, how many sex scenes do you think there were in the Wheel of Time show? And there were 4 options, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And almost half of the people said 0. Which is great because that's the accurate answer.
Those were probably my romance reader followers.
But more than half of them said that there was a sex scene in the Wheel of Time. And we just need an episode to talk about this. So, what prompted this poll?
One of my other romance writer friends, who I've had this discussion with many times, actually had just retweeted a meme. And it was that guy with the salad bowl and the giant bottle of salad dressing that he's pouring it onto. And it was, the useless writers adding useless sex scenes to TV shows. And I was like, where are these sex scenes that you are all running from? Where are these useless sex scenes that you guys apparently cannot escape? Because I'm not seeing them. I mean, I'm seeing rape scenes, but I'm not seeing, sex scenes in TV shows very regularly. So that made me think about, I wonder what people would say about the Wheel of Time. Would you think that those extremely tame fade to black scenes were sex scenes or not? And I knew it would be skewed because I have a lot of followers who read very dirty books, and they were not going to be satisfied by fading to black. But I actually what really stumped me was how wide a variation, like, not just that people thought that there were sex scenes, but like people were like 1, 2, and I was like, which two are sex scenes? I mean, either there's a bunch of them or there's none, right? So that was where it really broke down for me.
I mean, we should have a fourth option, no? Because like Running Gwen got it on at least twice.
Yeah, I'd actually forgotten that one.
Yeah.
I thought about doing 3+, and then I was like, I think there were only 3, right? But so yeah, it definitely.
The fact that 20% of people thought that there were 3 sex scenes is just like mind-boggling.
Wild. My brain broke a little bit, honestly, reading the results of that poll and then going through the comments of it. I was like, wait, do I know what a sex scene is? Am I misunderstanding what a sex scene is? I'm confused now.
I mean, no offense to Robert Jordan, I love you, man. But compared to his writing, the show was pretty sexy. So I could see where people like mistake it, but
there's a difference between sexy and sex scene.
Oh, I know.
But it's also an inherently, like, a visual medium is much easier to show sex on than the written word.
I'm just taking a bit of a dig at poor RJ and his non-existent romances.
I mean, I'm not like Brie. I did not see any Lan and Nynaeve romance at all before In the Eye of the World. I was just like, oh, okay.
I have another romance writer friend who, after she watched the show, she binged the entire series in like 4 months. And she finally came back to me and she said, Brie, I know why you love Lan and Nynaeve. There's almost no romance from their point of view, so he didn't ruin it for you. And I was like, oh. Oh.
I mean, there's a point. We go from Lan and Nynaeve not knowing each other and being strangers to her being like, will he ride alone? I was like, what happened between those 2 points? For real.
I just filled it all in. He gave me the tropes and I was like, I know how this goes. And then most importantly, like she pointed out, he never ruined it. So my brain was just like, yep, I got this all planned out in my head. I know exactly how it went. But yeah, I think that, I didn't expect them to bone in the show, even if they didn't show it. Like in season 1, I was like, wow, this is amazing. But it still didn't feel like a sex scene.
No.
Yeah, I feel like, so one of the issues of the book that I have is that they are very sex repressed. Like very, like all of those kids, they are like, it's you don't kiss before wedding, okay? So not even sex. And the show is not like that because, I mean, that's maybe some fine in the 90s, but we're in 2020 and people have sex. So it's like,
I mean, it's a very Puritan series. Like when you get down to it, it's unfortunately just very thinking of sex as bad.
It is the most puritanical, kinky series I've ever read. Like, I don't understand how it's both.
The intersection between those two.
It's like, this is the most Victorian, but also the most kinky book series you'll ever read.
Yeah, it is kind of Victorian porny, like it's They had those spanking postcards, and I'm like, this is apparently what's going on here.
Oh my god, it's like Horrors of Yore on Twitter. If people don't follow Horrors of Yore on Twitter, please do.
It's like Matt Cawthon shows a calf, and half the ladies and some of the men just, well, I'm not going to say it for our delicate viewers because I know that our audience is very, very chaste and pure.
And you're such a Southern belle, we wouldn't want to ruin that image.
I am. I'm very innocent and sweet.
So we did kind of touch on it a little bit, but what makes a sex scene to you, Brie?
So I think that for me, I think that it's really hard to say this because so much of the language we have is so heteronormative and I think a lot of people, if you ask them, they'd say it's when the penis goes in the vagina. And that's
oh my god, Camille did a literal full body shiver.
Yeah. And I'm always like, okay, well, maybe that's not how we need to be defining it.
Especially not on this podcast.
Yeah. Maybe.
None of us believe in that.
Now, I'll tell you, sex is when the tiddlywinks goes in the cooter and then the babies is made and...
RJ, is that you? RJ? Robert Jordan? Have you possessed Matt? What's going on?
Is Matt done? I'm sorry, I had to leave.
I blacked out for a minute there. Are we still doing this episode?
I'm so sorry.
This is actually a thing that I have to discuss in a business manner. And I'm not saying romance conventions aren't a little wild because we do have to have these discussions. But, I think that the thing for me is a lot of how I have to engage with it is expectation management. And basically, I would not tell anybody who likes sexy stuff that this is a show full of sex scenes because it's a show full of occasionally hot kisses and then waking up and, under the sheets mostly dressed. That's what this is. And I feel like...
And lots of sidelong glances and pining.
I feel like we need, I'm not going to say it has to be an orgasm, but you need some sort of climactic moment to occur on screen. And if you are not delivering that, if you are letting that happen off screen, you haven't done the deed.
I kind of agree with that. I'm like, I think you could have a sex scene without completion as long as there is some kind of enjoyment.
Yes.
Whatever is happening from start to finish should happen on screen. If you cut away and then cut back to it, I feel like that's... You've left out part of what was going on. And, that can be character building. The useless sex scene thing drives me crazy. Because, how you bone says a lot about you as a person.
I mean, also, who you bone, what you're willing to bone for.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say some other things that aren't as appropriate, but...
Well, it's sort of like... not to talk about the Supreme Court, but in a very, very old case about obscenity, the U.S. Supreme Court was like, I don't know what pornography and obscenity is, but I know it when I see it. And
right.
That's sort of an equivalent, not to shame it, but as far as assessing what makes a sex scene, do certain parts have to touch? Do certain actions have to be completed? It's I don't know, but if it happens, I definitely will know it when I see it. And The Wheel of Time was just not it.
That's not to say I thoroughly enjoyed what we got. I enjoyed that. I actually think it worked well for the first season. I'm interested to see if that changes going forward in future seasons.
Some slap and tickle.
Yeah, I loved what we got. I thought that they did a good job because they had young puppy love, which was very different than a mature relationship between two women who are here to play. Which was very different from two almost strangers having an apocalypse bang. They all had their own vibes, and they all said something about them, what they were doing, and why they were doing it. And I liked that. I would have liked to see more, but
I have never thought about Lan and Nynaeve as an apocalypse fuck. But it is, yeah.
It's totally what it is. Yeah, what it was. Yeah.
In the show.
And just so that's what's happened. Even Nynaeve following Lan, it's she only doing that because she thinks she's they're gonna die tomorrow. So
right.
Let's be creepy. Let's stalk the guy.
Yeah,
I'm all for a female stalker that isn't played off as a crazy woman. You know what? I want more of that.
It was the most wholesome stalking I've ever seen, I have to say.
It was.
Come inside and meet my small child who's cute and adorable. Have some soup. But yeah, I thought that, and see, the thing that after the poll, I posted the poll that, like, and I think I told James this in the comments, I was so confused by the people who were, like, saying 2. I was like, which ones do you think were the sex scenes? Are you just not remembering other things, which is fair? Or, like, are you ascribing a higher maturity to maybe 2 women kissing than you are to puppy love between a man and a woman, because we just basically think that's PG? Like, what is going on out there?
I feel like they had to have forgotten about Rand and Egwene in the first episode and the 7th episode, because the other 2 are very memorable.
And now I'm remembering that Rand and Egwene had a scene in the 7th episode.
We literally talked about it earlier, like 10 minutes ago.
But, like, yeah, they start kissing in the, archery courtyard? They start kissing and they wake up in bed. So, like, it's not like it's a scene. It is a kiss and that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of me wonders if they think, like, Matt and Rand in the barn was a sex scene.
Should have been.
Because, like, I wish it was.
I mean...
Took me a minute to figure out what scene you were talking about.
The one where Rand is like, I'm always there for you. Do you need anything? Can I help you?
Yeah.
And then it fades to black.
For me, it's like the scene between the lesbian... Yes, I heard you, James. I'm just not acknowledging it. The lesbian wizard sex scene between Swan and Moraine is just like not a sex scene, but it's also the scene with, no shade to Lana and Nynaeve and the actors that play them, but like the sexy chemistry between the 2 actresses and the characters in that scene make it stand out to me just a whole lot more than the others.
But at the same time, like, what's really funny is that Moraine and Swan are actually the couple that has the less kiss, like in terms of length. It's like the shortest one.
The shortest kiss? Yeah.
It's not the shortest kiss, but since some couple had multiple kiss, it's their longest kiss is the shortest all the couple.
Well, it's the shortest kiss that on the lips that we see.
I mean, I also think that Lan and Nynaeve are not outwardly sexual people. Like, they are not dancing in the club with their booty shorts on. Swan and Moraine, I could see it.
I mean, she was horny in that first scene when she came in, right? Like, Swan came in to sit down on the Emerald seat, and Moraine was like, I mean, Jenny from Lesbian Nerdy and I have discussed this before. Like, maybe she was just too horny to come up with a good excuse for what she's doing out there in the wild. She's just like, I don't know what I was doing. What did you ask again?
And you know what? I get it.
What you don't see is the rug they had to put under Moraine while she was kneeling. Camille's making her regret face, just so you know.
Listen, that ring kiss, the ring kiss at the end, that was like maybe another sex scene. I'm not entirely sure.
I was more turned on by that than I was anything Rand and Egwene did. So
this is very true.
They were cute. They're cute, and I liked their puppy love.
They were cute.
They had puppy love, and I think
they were cute.
I think what's amazing that is between Swan and Moraine, I believed I was looking at 2 women with like a 20+ year relationship. There was just instant familiarity and chemistry, and like the interplay, the on your knees thing. That was just
perfect.
This is not the first time someone has said that out of the bedroom or inside it.
The chemistry is amazing between those 2, and like I enjoyed the scene for what it was, the writing, the relationship, whereas the Rand Egwene scenes I just enjoy because I'm looking forward to how much it's going to be destroyed and how much pain and suffering they're going to go through.
That's so mean.
You're anticipating the pain.
I feel similarly because I'm like, yes, be happy now. It will all be ruined.
Meanwhile, I hate the show for making me care about the 2 of them because I know where it's going.
Yeah.
I'm like, but they're cute.
Yeah, the books. I really was mad that the show made me ship them. Because, like, I mean, I warned, I felt so bad that I introduced, like, an army of romance readers to these books. And they're like, I'm gonna go read these books for the lesbian wizards and the cute Egwene Rand. And I'm like, no, please.
Oh, no.
Please don't.
Oh, no.
I mean, because
what have you done?
That way lies madness.
Rand and Egwene have, like, limp noodle chemistry in the books. I mean, I don't think they even like each other, ever.
Yeah.
Even when they're supposedly going to get married. So
yeah, no, they're just, okay, I guess we're getting married. Oh, okay.
Rand seems more like, I have to marry someone? That doesn't sound fun. So it's like, you know, I think that
I get very, like, repressed Mormon, like, oh, if I have to marry a girl, it might as well be her.
I just get the thing that they're a small community and there's a girl there, so I guess I'm gonna marry the girl, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
This is my gay Rand headcanon. He's the repressed Mormon kid who has to marry Egwene, but then he meets the bohemian Asmodean who just rocks his world and teaches him many, many things. And yes, there's a 3,000-year age difference. Again, I don't care.
I read a lot of paranormal romance. That's not so bad. So, yeah, I actually grew up, like, for my first 12 years in a village of, like, 75 people. And so, like, there was one boy in town my age. And, like, so, yeah, like, when I was 12, I was like, okay, I guess that's the one I'm gonna marry. I'm really glad we left. I don't think that would have been ideal.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, like, I do actually sort of get that small town claustrophobia. Like, I understand it when you literally have no options and you've grown up with all of them. And the show made it, like, cute. But also, yeah, I'm going to enjoy it falling apart. So, I mean, I'm not going to enjoy it, but I'm going to enjoy not enjoying it. So
I'm just interested in how they're going to make the relationship evolve so that it gets broken, but it's still realistic, whatever, like, relationship comes up after. So...
yeah.
I mean, they did kind of break up in the season 1. Like, I think they both knew it was goodbye sex in episode 7.
Rand knew, Egwene did not.
Rand knew, but I think Egwene knew it wasn't gonna lead anywhere.
I disagree with that.
I don't know. I think there was a little bit of apocalypse banging, like more apocalypse banging, but the problem with Egwene is Egwene always thinks she's going to win. Egwene's just going to fling herself at danger all the time and come out the other side. So she might have believed that they're just going to go save the world, and then Rand will be her warder. And instead he's like, I'm going to fake my death and leave, which is his favorite move, I guess. So...
is that how you get out of, like, calling a girl back? You just fake your death and leave?
It's a ghost to another level.
Yeah, it really is next level ghosting.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how it's handled in the show. Camille, I know you dived a little bit into the ratings a little bit for each episode. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Not really for each episode. It just, so when we talk about sex scene, I feel like there's a lot that varies based on perception and based on, like, culture. And so I was kind of curious about, you know, different country, whether they had the same type of rating.
Well, I was going to say, I looked them up when we were talking about ratings the other day, and for some reason, episode 6 is the only one with a TV-13 rating. The rest are TV-16 on Amazon US. And I think it's probably because of violence and gore. But, like, it's not what I expected.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
At all.
I'm pretty sure that none of the ratings for the episode are about the sex. It's really about the violence because, like, yes, I think episode 1 absolutely deserve is -16, like, just for the winter night, but it's not because of
for sure.
whatever sex or even Lance, but it's same thing, like. Episode 5 typically absolutely deserve a rating -16 for, like, the white cloak scene and whatever happens to step in.
I think it's interesting because ratings are always so arbitrary and they always shift with the times. Like a lot, if you ask, like, a lot of people, they think that PG-13R in the United States at least has always been around, but that's not true. Like, we had something called the Hays Code that was around between 1934 and 68. And it was basically, it was like a self-imposed set of morals, basically, yes. So no nudity, profanity, violence, sexual things, and that's where we got a lot of, not to go on my spiel, but that's where we got a lot of gay coding and queer coding, because before that, a lot of queerness was more explicit.
Right.
Because people back then weren't so up in arms about it. So we have like pre-1934, we've got a lot of sexually liberated shows being treated as normal for adults. And then we go into this repression era. And now it seems like for a long time, anything with queer content was rated much higher. But now, at least with Amazon, it seems as though that's not the case. And that's, I don't know, I like that. It's heartening.
Something that I found funny while looking it up for this episode is realizing that as a French person, I also have a very different opinion regarding ratings. Typically regarding language and sex, I feel like France is way chiller than the US in terms of rating, in the sense that we don't care whether there's a fuck in a PG-13 movie. Like it's not going to be something that's going to make us consider that movie as not PG-13 anymore. And so I was, there's a few movies that I was actually surprised by the big difference between the US rating versus the French rating. Like Blue is the warmest color, which has a very explicit sex scene, I would say. In France, it's a -12. So people below 12 years old should not watch that. In the US, it's NC-17.
Because lesbians.
And also like sex. Like, I know, like honestly, Americans are a lot more prudish than French people regarding nudity.
Oh, yeah.
I did see a lot of complaints of that bath scene. Like, in episode 6, people were upset. Yes.
Yes.
Wait, they were upset about episode 6
Yes.
bath scene?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a titties?
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think that, like, I think that people were actually actively weirded out because at least with the Land's butt scene, it fit our US conception of, well, at least we're sexualizing his butt here. But, like, just some ladies who weren't at all being portrayed in any sort of sexualized manner. It wasn't sexy nudity. It was just random nudity. People's brains, I don't think in the US are, like, programmed to function with that.
I actually was very surprised by people's reaction for episode 1, because in the US, I felt like people were shipping Moraine and Lan a lot because they were basing naked together. And that was a concept that were like, that was completely unknown for Americans. So I found out like a lot of show viewers were like shipping Lan and Moraine hard because they were naked together. When that scene is supposed to show people that their relationship is very intimate, but also very like it's not romantic at all. And that's really a relationship to nudity that I think it's very different to some other country where like naked baths are a bit more common.
I was shocked by the reaction to episode 6 because it was like, for me, it was kind of like a blink and you miss it almost moment. Like it wasn't even super prominent. It was just like, you're in a bathhouse. Of course, there are going to be topless people there. They're like, you expect to see topless women, but some people were just like lost their minds over this.
There was just the one set of titties, right?
We'll check that later, James. But honestly, I think my first watch, I didn't even notice the titties.
Yeah, when you said blink and I miss it, I'm like, yes.
There was a lady with a shirt. It was kind of like a shirt with open sides, and so like you could see her boobs. And it was literally just like side boob, and it wasn't even very long.
In the fuck hut, yes. For Moraine, yes, but in the bath scene, in the bath scene, I'm the first time I saw the bath scene in episode 6, I did not notice the boobs. And I had to rewatch it like slowly to actually count the number of boobs.
It wasn't weird. I mean, it was so just casual that like I'm not surprised you missed it because it wasn't like boobs. But like that's how the US does it.
Yeah.
It's like boobs.
Absolutely. It's a whole event.
And also, like, the lightning was very specific because for another reason, I may have counted which character are showing their nipples. And I actually skipped that scene because I was like, yeah, it's too dark. I'm not sure whether we actually see the nipples or just the shape of the boob.
Wait, you have data on how many?
We can come back on that.
I need the nipple stat.
Does areola count as titty? Like,
Oh, Lord.
do you have to see nipple or is areola okay?
Mm-hmm.
I will explain later.
Yeah, you got some splaining to do, for sure.
Yeah, so back on the topic.
Okay, I will say that I was extremely nervous when I saw them in the bath together because as a romance writer, I was like, oh shit. My entire timeline who doesn't know anything about these people are going to jump on that because they are not going to recognize, like I could recognize the subtlety of that being a platonic intimacy.
Which bath scene?
The first one in episode 1 with Lan and Moraine. When Lan and Moraine got in the bath together, I was like, oh no, this is some like klaxon shipper. They are running. And like a lot of them were. And I was like, no, wait, stop.
I loved watching people ship them because I was like, you dumb bitches.
Yes, and it felt like they were straight baited, and I was happy about that.
So like I actually like retroactively the idea of like the Lan and Moraine shippers getting straight baited, but only because now I actually know that Swan and Moraine is going to happen because I did not believe it. She was in that room wearing her Victorian nightshirt, and I was like, until you kiss, I'm not going to believe I'm getting this. Like I
need you to go down on her. I'm not going to believe it.
get there, kiss.
She went on her knee.
Yeah.
I still have a problem with the Moraine and Lan bath scene because he got in too quick.
I made a GIF. I slowed that down. Like, that was one of the first GIFs I made. I slowed that down so much because that is the only male nudity we get.
I think Lan is the only person who got like actively objectified in this show, and he did several times.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We got manfully scarred backs.
I respectfully look at Daniel Henney.
I disrespectfully look at Daniel Henney. Hi, Daniel. If you're listening.
Don't be listening.
Hopefully he's not.
Or be listening. I mean, I'm not your mom.
Taylor Napier might be listening. He's a gay. He's a Wheel of Time gay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a fabulous one. So, do you know I had him on a book cover once?
Really?
He was a stock model. He was a very popular stock model for a while. And there were a lot of great stock photos of him out there. And I had him on a book cover as a romance hero once. So when his casting dropped and they were posting all these stock photos, I was like, wait, what? Because he has been on so many romantic suspense covers. He has this one where he's got like scruff and these very intense eyes, and people are like always putting him on romance covers.
Are you serious?
I mean, he looks like a romance lead.
Yeah, so.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
Are you looking it up, James?
He's on so many.
Yeah.
He has such short hair.
Yeah, he's got this very short blonde hair, and he's got these intense eyes.
Oh, I hate this one.
James screaming and homosexual.
There are some weird ones out there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, yes. I don't remember what I was going to say. Probably something else about Swan and Moraine. Oh, what an episode. I think it's episode 3. Moraine has her fever, and she's like whispering Swan's name. And that was when I was like, maybe I'm going to get it. Maybe I'm going to get it.
Maybe.
But I didn't believe until like the lips touched. And then I was like, okay, we're on this ride. Thank you, Rafe Judkins.
We're good.
I needed that. I needed that.
I was even afraid, like, that they were gonna, put them together only to like break them up directly. And like, yes, they kind of, yes, they're not broken, but like, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all expecting the like sad lesbian story.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they got lesbian wizard married at the end of that episode.
They did get lesbian wizard married.
They did.
It was a very sad wedding, though.
Yeah.
It was a sad wedding, but it was a lesbian wizard wedding, and nobody can take that from me. They are now Oathrod married.
Oh,
yeah.
it's canon. It's very much
That
canon.
is the strongest wedding you can have.
Absolutely.
Like, move over, sea folk. That is Oathrod wedding.
When you swear on a magical dildo, it's binding.
You guys have all heard the interview, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, of
You
course.
bet.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
Have you watched the For Your Consideration panel?
I have not seen that. Does she do it again?
Oh, the Emmy one.
Yeah, she does it again in front of the whole Amy thing. And she's like, the other thing is how to, like, because she's basically talking about an engraved dildo.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's absolutely hilarious.
I love it. I love it.
It's so funny. She gets so much joy out of that story.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think that is the moment that I realized that, like, Rosamund Pike was fully unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
In the best way.
The Oathrod is not a sex toy. Please Oathrod responsibly.
I mean, there's a sex toy that's also a rod in the books. Like,
Yes, there is, because
that's a thing.
puritanical, kinky books.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. To go back on the topic, there was one thing that I wanted to mention. So when you look at fanfiction, one of the rating system usually used is the one from AO3, which has different category. And like the one I'm going to pay attention here is like the teen and up audiences, the mature and the explicit. And like the description on AO3 is like teen and up, the content may be inappropriate for audience under 13. Mature, the content contains adult themes that aren't as graphic as explicit rated content. And explicit, the content contains explicit adult themes such as porn, graphic violence. Which the description is pretty fuzzy, like how do you make the distinction between mature and explicit? So I found another like Tumblr where they were giving a bit more description about that. And I found like the description were pretty interesting. So teen and up, they describe that as stories that deal with topics that may be a bit edgier than the general audience rating. However, reference to sex or violence are mostly suggestive. You can allude to the fact that two characters had sex, but you would not write out the sex scene. Mature is like mature rated fanfiction deals with adult topics. No folks have a tendency to hear the word adult and seek sex, but while it's partially true, it's not the entire shebang. These stories deal with more detailed discussions of sex and violence, but do not necessarily linger on the scene. And explicit, there's a tendency to think of explicit only in sexual terms. However, it can be used for more than that. Explicit lingers. Explicit describes in detail sexual as well as extremely violent acts. If mature is a fade to black or the tastefully lit sex scene, then explicit is a close-up in HD, which I think it's a nice description of it. I like that.
Interesting.
So, considering those three ratings, how would you rate the Wheel of Time?
for sex, I give it teen.
Yeah.
For violence, I give it mature.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Same.
Yes.
There were too many intestines for me. There were a lot of intestines, and I would rather see boobs than intestines. I mean, that's just kind of how I feel.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Well, what's the old saying? Like, as a country, we're more comfortable seeing two men gun each other down or fight with swords or kill each other than we are to see them holding hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I feel can be said for heterosexuality as well, just to a much lesser extent, obviously.
there is a weird thing where heterosexuality is fine as long as it's like obligatory, but then if it like especially if it's miserable, but if it starts to get fun, especially for women, like all the crap around 50 Shades of Grey is really like I cannot tell you how much that made my life as a romance author miserable. Because, like, every 6 months, the reporters were all, oh my god, the women like sex! And I was like, Jesus Christ, are we doing this again?
Yes.
Everyone was like, come on, I want to interview about how the crazy women have gone insane! They all like sex now! And I'm like,
Which is so annoying because, like, men love sex too, and no one is shaming them for that. So, yeah.
No, but they're men, Camille.
the horny housewife thing.
Sex is for men because men take the sex.
But we don't like heterosexual men, like, enjoying it either, really. It's just like a conquering thing, and then, maybe a dominating and surrendering thing, Robert Jordan.
Ouch.
Anyway, magical world building that I have issues with, part 7,000. So, but I really think that the sex in the Wheel of Time show is straight teen, because also it's all healthy and loving. And the kids are going to go find the sex, and do you want them finding Game of Thrones sex or respectful, loving, tender sex that everybody has consented to? I mean, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Going back to the ratings, I think it was hilarious that episode 6 was lower, because my first thought was, does lesbian wizard sex mean that it's more appropriate for children? But I guess there is no violence in that episode, so.
Yeah, there's no Trollocs.
It's a violence.
Yeah.
Or white cloaks.
True, no Trollocs.
Yeah.
No Trolloc titties.
No woman being burned to the stake.
No fade titties.
Oh
Oh
god.
my god, do y'all remember when the internet just got so angry because there was like a fade with boobs or something?
Titty fade.
What?
Titty fade, my favorite fade. She is leading the charge.
Oh my god, I missed that one. I must have been on a deadline or something.
You missed Titty fade? Episode 8.
I saw Titty the Trolla.
Oh my gosh. I will find a
Boobs,
picture of it. You guys keep talking about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, to be fair, the fades are so horrifying. Like, they have this big mouth from hell that you're not looking at their boobs, but some of the incel MRA types were like, oh no, it's a troll, it's woke now because it's got boobs. So
my God.
And me, I'm not one of those. I just was happy for the representation of titty fade.
no, I'm saying that people were complaining about it. You weren't complaining.
This is what we mean by representation matters.
I was
right?
so happy for titty fade. Representation matters. You two can have no eyes, can murder countless children, lead armies of shadow spawn.
Gatekeep girl boss.
You can do it.
Every fade deserves to see themselves represented on TV. So like, it's just the way it is.
There you go.
So do we have anything else to say about the sex in season 1? Or
I want more of it
Yeah,
in season
more.
2.
Yeah.
yeah?
In season 2.
I want that promised slap and tickle scene in season 2, yeah.
I would like to see
Give us more Yosha.
a little more of it. Maybe a little lingering. Like, we don't have to. Maybe we don't have to go too explicit. Like, I don't need to know where everybody's fingers are all the time. But just linger a little longer.
A little bit less clothes.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't need to see actors naked.
Well,
That would be nice. But
I mean,
I think I would just be happy with a little more like touching. A little more
Passion.
yeah, lingering.
Yeah.
Passion, no. I just want to see like raw fucking. Like, I just want to see Rand like balls deep.
Oh my god.
Oh, I forgot the 5th sex scene. The 5th sex scene is that one moment where Perrin and Rand are staring at each other and they swallow. One of them swallows. That was a whole sex scene too.
Honestly, though.
I have the GIF.
swallows very thickly, maybe.
Honestly.
Yeah, it was.
Oh gosh.
Lord.
It was intense.
It was very intense. No, actually, the 5th sex scene, it's the Alana, even Maxim, we did not get to see because they had sex. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's the one I want to see.
That's what I'm.
Has there been Wheel of Time porn yet? There was Game of Thrones porn right away.
I will not look it up, okay?
Well, you have to search for it, I guess.
I will not.
Oh, I am. Go ahead, that's fine.
So, do we want to move on to kind of the game of the day?
Yes.
So it's a bit different from usually. Basically, as I was preparing for this episode, I found many reviews commenting on the sex and nudity of the show. And one of the quotes that I found very funny was like, the nudity is frequent and moderate with butts and breasts on display. There was an S on that butt, and I'm still looking for the second one. Another comment mentions the sexualized nudity with 2 women in the bath kissing. I'm also trying to find out where that was. I still haven't found out where those naked kissing ladies were, but this type of comment intrigued me. So in a twist of events that will surprise absolutely no one, I started a new spreadsheet and opened the Wheel of Time TV show on another screen, and I had been given a new mission, finding the porn of the wheel. So now I am here to give you a pop quiz.
The porn of the Wheel of Time.
Oh boy.
Driven by data.
I'm ready. I've been training my whole life.
These people who leave these reviews are allowed to vote, and it's a very scary thing. As you were, Camille.
Just a bit.
And let's not go into that thing. Since some of those comments mentioned butts, I decided to start with the obvious, and by that I mean Daniel's Aeneas' impeccable behind that we got to see in the first episode. His were the only butt chicks we've got to watch during the first season. But do you know for how long did we get to see them?
Not long
How
enough.
long did we see? Okay.
Question. Does it count like when he's fading into the scene? Like does that when you start?
I start when the butt appears and I stop when the butt disappears under the water.
But the full butt or like
When the butt starts to appear.
okay.
3.5 seconds.
8.2 seconds.
I'm going to go with 3.5 seconds.
Yeah. 3.5.
It's actually a bit more than 6 seconds. I measure like 6 seconds 33. Which for your information is 0.024% of the total show length. That's the kind of data that I have.
Okay, Rafe, next season I need 0.025 lands butt.
More butts.
How about just 20%?
So that single butt did not seem sufficient to reclassify the Wheel of Time TV show into porn. So I just had to look for more. From the first episode, I immediately skipped to episode 6 to the offending bath scene. Then I slowed down the speed and counted the boobies. Can you guess the final result? James is losing it.
Okay, again,
How many tits we see?
I need to ask clarifying questions. How are we measuring boobies?
Yes.
Is side boob half a boob?
Side boob, top boob.
Are we seeing... I'm counting side boob in that scene.
Okay.
I mean, if we only see one of the boobs of someone, I'm only counting one.
Okay.
Oh, so you want to know the total number of boob.
The total
Yes.
number, so not pairs of boobs. Then.
So it could be an odd number.
5. I'm going with 5. 5 is my answer.
6.9 boobs.
Good answer.
I'm 6.9. Oh my god.
James is trying to count.
I feel like I've gone low. Is this a Price is Right scenario? I mean,
James is taking this way too seriously.
No, I'm going to go with 8.5.
That's high. I'm gonna say 6.
Actually, Matt was very close because there was 7.
I was right. 6.9 boobs.
Which appeared for between 17 and 18 seconds on screen. So they were for like a little bit of time. That's still like 0.07% of the total show length. So that's not a lot. Honorable mention to Moraine's side boobs that we got to see later in that episode. I'm sorry, I loved the dress she had, and that side boob was
So good.
tasteful, and I loved it.
excellent side boob.
Tasteful side boobs.
I agree.
But there's no reason why we should only focus on female boobs. After all, as queer folks, we love saying fuck to gender norms. Men also got to show their nipples in the show. Can you remember who, when, and how many nipples did those men show?
Well, I remember Yosha's pretty well.
Yeah.
I can't remember anybody else's, so.
I mean, Lan.
I'm sure Daniel Henney had nippies out at some
Yes.
point. Oh, yeah, in the bed
then-
scene.
The bath and the bed scene.
Rand twice, I guess.
Ran.
I don't remember Rand at all. No, I do.
Yes.
I guess he got out of that bed once.
We didn't get Barney.
I clearly
Yeah.
was not paying close enough attention.
I don't think Maxim or Yvonne.
Are we counting the nipples? The nipple appearances? Like, if Lands appear twice, does he get 4? Or 2? Or 1? Or
We
That's a good question.
counting nipple by scene. So if in one scene there was one nipple showing, even if it's if it's the same nipple that appears and disappears and appear, I only counting once.
Okay.
But if it's in 2 different episodes and 2 different scenes.
Then I count it twice.
Okay. Oh, but there's also tits out from Manetheren.
What? What the hell are you talking about?
The scene when he's like the designated mourner. I always called that
Oh.
like tits out.
Oh, he did rip that thing open pretty far.
He did.
Do we count Trolloc titties?
No, we don't.
Oh god.
Tits out for Manetheren.
So, Tears of a Manhattan, I actually did not count that one. I did not check whether there was nipple on that one because I completely forgot about that one. I'm sorry, maybe the data is wrong.
Tits out for Manetheren. What the fuck?
I
Okay, I'm saying 13. I don't have good.
That sounds.
I don't think I have good methods here, but I'm just saying 13.
I'm gonna say
Mhm.
9.
I'm gonna say 8.
I'm gonna say 11.
I counted 7. because in the bath scene, we only see one on Lan's nipple because he's on the side, but we see distinctly that nipple too. There's then the rand discussion with Egwene still in episode 1 where we see him like completely chest naked, so there's 2 nipples there. And then it's episode 7 where we see Lan when he's not when he's talking with Nynaeve post-sex, but pre-sex when she shows up and he has removed his shirt. And we see Rand after waking up when he has his Dragon Reborn realization and the flashback to him and Tam. Like before that, we see the 2 nipples from Rand. So 7 nipples. There were 7 boobs, 7 nipples.
Well, that seems like equality. We've won or something.
Yeah. Yeah, like equality in the nipple.
It's very balanced, surprisingly balanced.
I'm watching the episode very intently now. There is no... Oh, nope, there's a nipple. Okay, so there's one nipple in the tits out from the Manetherin scene.
Okay, so I was right. I was correct exactly.
So that's
then.
8 then.
The men have pulled ahead.
I win.
It's like half a nipple, though.
Mm.
But you can definitely see areola. So
7.345, 0.75?
Yeah. So we did add a few scenes with completely naked characters, but who was involved and how long does the scene last? Do you remember which scenes I'm talking about first?
The bath in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's Lan in the bath.
I mean, if you're wearing a blanket, are you naked? You're not wearing clothes, but you're not naked.
yeah, I'm like Egwene in episode 1. That was pretty naked.
Nah.
She was wearing a blanket, though. Okay, so, I mean, Lan was clearly naked. Moraine was naked in the water.
Right.
There's another scene.
Egwene in episode 5 too, no? When the White Cloaks are...
Yes.
Oh, right.
Oh,
With Egwene.
wait. Oh, see? I am so happy that I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Because
I know.
the show did
Yep.
not make her feel super naked. And, like, I'm deeply relieved.
Yeah, but she was...
She was, but they did a good job framing that in a way that, like...
So when I counted that, so technically for on-screen scenes, I only counted the moments where Lan is getting into the bath and the scene with Egwene in the White Cloak.
Right.
But we could also add the full bath scene from episode 1 because both Moraine and Lan are naked in the bathtub under the water, so it's suggesting naked. And additionally, if you consider that only wearing a towel around your hips is still being naked, you could also add the bath scene from episode 6. I think through like the scene of the post-sex scene in episode 1 with Egwene and Rand, they're both wearing too many clothes for that.
Many clothes.
Yeah. The Lan bath scene, so it's the same time that his birth, so it's like 6 seconds 33 if we're only counting Lan. If we're counting Lan and Moraine, it's like 1 minute 15 seconds. Egwene with a White Cloak is 34 seconds.
Oh.
And the bath scene in episode 6 is 2 minutes 18 seconds. And in total, it's like 3 minutes 33 seconds, which is 0.80% of the show with naked folks.
Oh no, almost 1%.
Yes, I have very precise data, and James is like...
No, I just love it.
But we could also add other scenes where a man has his full upper body naked. There's 5 additional scenes for that. Do you remember which ones?
I remember Lan. He had the back, so I'm not forgetting that.
You're talking about Lan, episode 7 before the sex.
Episode 7, yes. He takes his shirt off, and that was nice.
Yes. So what other scene do we have?
I'm leaning into the bisexual chaos and panic here.
So other times we see men?
Oh, men. Is it just men?
Yeah, just men, because all the one have already been counted with a bath scene before.
Perrin doesn't really get his shirt all... Does he get his shirt all the way off in the White Cloak thing?
He is.
Oh, wait, no. Perrin does when he's
healing.
getting healed.
Oh,
you see his big old titties.
Yes.
Isn't he? Yeah. He's laying on his side.
He had very nice cleavage in that episode.
Yes, okay. I remember that. He was very sad.
That's the big scene that you're seeing. Because there's also like Rand discussing with Egwene in episode 1. He has his shirt off.
Oh, yeah.
Lan after having sex with Nynaeve, where they're talking.
Right.
Did Steppen have his shirt off?
No.
No.
Steppen never have a shirt off. And there's Rand after having sex with Egwene in episode 7. The longest I mean, I don't care. It's like before the sex with Nynaeve, it's like 1 minute 15 for Lan. Those moments, it adds about 4 minutes 30 seconds. So in total, we got like 8 minutes of nudity in the show. That's it.
Well, it's porn now, obviously.
For a show that people are considering too much nudity, it's like 1.8% of the total show length.
Yeah.
What is the percentage?
1.8%.
1.8%.
Yeah.
So that's not a lot for something that gets comments that it has too much sex. I can keep going because I have way too much cheddar.
I love it though.
After that, I thought I was done. Shouldn't that be enough to prove that no, the show was not overtly sexual? But then I remember that some people expected our TV show characters to be as sexually repressed as our book wants, in which we talk about weddings before even kissing. So how many kisses did we got, and which one was the longest one?
How many kisses?
How many
Yes.
kisses? Okay.
Oh my god.
69.
Oh my god.
Final answer.
I'm at 3.
Oh gosh, you are missing some.
This is 4. No.
Okay, so we have Rand and Egwene in
Yes.
episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
We have... Wait, are we counting cheek kisses or just lips?
Lips.
Okay, Suan and Moraine.
Perrin and Layla kissed.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
They did?
They don't.
In the morning, don't they, in bed? Pretty sure they do.
No, he's sleeping and she's grabbing his finger, but they don't kiss.
Interesting.
Okay. I'm gonna let that one go.
Okay, Rand and Egwene kiss.
They kiss twice in episode 1.
In episode 1, they kiss twice?
Did he kiss her up on the hill after she...
No, in the same scene,
No?
it's like he
Oh,
kisses
okay.
her and then he grims the strawberry and then they kiss again and then he...
Okay, that's... No.
That's
No.
2 kisses. I'm sorry. There's like 20 seconds between those 2 kisses. That's
Okay,
2
there's
kisses.
2 kisses. There's 2 kisses.
Okay.
There's 2 kisses. Okay.
Ren and Gwen get 5 kisses during the whole show.
5.
Because they got those 2 kisses here. In episode 7,
Right.
they also get to kiss twice because
Uh-huh.
they fight, they kiss, they talk a bit more, and then they kiss again,
Mhm.
and then it's fade to black. And in
Mhm.
episode 8, Rand kiss fake Egwene in the dream.
Oh.
Okay.
Fake Egwene doesn't count.
It counts. It's a kiss. I'm sorry.
It's a
It is a
kiss.
kiss.
It's creepy kissing.
A creepy kiss is a kiss.
Tis a kiss.
And there's Moraine and Swan, and there's Lan
Mhm.
and Nynaeve. So which of these kisses do you think is the longest one?
Well, you're breaking it up into 2. So I was going to say the first one with Rand. Okay, so I think it's part 2 of episode 1 for Rand and Egwene's
Okay.
kiss. Because that one I remember going on an uncomfortable amount. But that might have just been because it was straight.
I think it's because you're not straight.
I think Swan and Moraine might have kissed the longest, but I think they didn't kiss the most. Because everybody else, they only got one, right? They got one, like, kiss.
They only
and
got
then
one.
Knees were happening.
So the Lan and Nynaeve kiss lasted a bit more than 10 seconds and a half. Yes, that kiss is very long. It's the longest. Then, like, there's one of the kiss that Bran and Egwene have in episode 7 that also lasts 10 seconds.
Oh, wow. So that one didn't linger.
Moraine and Swan only last for like 5 seconds and a half.
Really? They just were so hot.
It's like they kiss and then separate immediately. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
one thing there.
I mean, I feel like there was more kissing that happened, but just we didn't see it.
Yeah, but like I don't care about what doesn't happen on screen. I'm computer what's on the
But
screen.
see, like, I feel like the second they're, like, looking at each other, like, the eye fucking, that almost felt like the kiss. I think that's... But you're right.
Yeah.
It took forever to get there.
Right.
Yeah, it's also because like Moraine and Swan actually takes the time before kissing her. While, for example, Ren and Egwene in the first episode, Ren basically interrupt Egwene to kiss her,
Right.
which lasts 9 seconds at that time, and the second kiss only lasts 7 seconds. But yeah, it's
And see, like, I love this because this is just proof that, like, it is so subjective and none of us know how long any of this stuff lasted.
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I still remember in the episode 1 and 2 premiere when people were like gasping at Rand and Egwene kissing. Like the entire theater gasped. And I was just like, what?
Okay, Puritans.
In total, we've got 52 seconds of kissing in the show.
Well, that's not enough kissing.
It's not.
It's not enough
It's not.
kissing.
We need more kissing in season 2.
The next question is absolutely crack. It's I cannot talk about sex in the TV show without mentioning On Your Knees, one of the best quotes of episode 6. I was not expecting Moraine to repeat that sentence to Swan in the fish hut scene. While the fade black hair was very tasteful, Moraine did get to spend quite some time on her knees in this episode, but how much time?
How much time was she on her knees, like even in the hall?
Basically, yes, because that's the only time she's on her knees as episode. Well, she's on her knee a few times, but always in the hall.
How much time is she on?
Okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And 12 seconds. I'm just being random here now.
Y'all know my answer.
69?
5 minutes and 12 seconds on screen.
Yeah. It's pretty close. It's 5 minutes, 3 seconds.
Wow.
Well, I was going to say 4 minutes, 20 seconds.
And it's mostly the second part.
There's 3 different times where she's kneeling. The first whole scene when Swan asks her to go on her knees. And the second whole scene, she started on her knee. Then Leanne asked her to get up. Then she gets to Swan and she kneeled in front of Swan to kiss that ring.
Right.
And by the way, the next logical question is obviously about the Earth Road. After all, Rosamund Pike called it an engraved dildo. So for how much time did Moraine and Swan hold that Earth Road dildo in the last whole scene? So holding it together.
Holding it together. Okay.
27 seconds.
There were periods where it wasn't focused on the oath rod, but like it was on like their faces. Are we counting that?
Yes.
Or just the time? Okay.
Oh, wait. Those might have taken a while.
I'm going to say 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay.
Maybe more like 47 seconds.
I'm going to say 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Oh.
Matt, do you have any answer except for 69 seconds?
4 minutes and 20 seconds.
James was the closest one because it's 1 minute and 59 seconds.
Oh.
Nice.
It's a long time to be holding on to an engraved dildo.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I still think that is the most beautiful prop from the show, and I would pay an obscene amount of money if they made it.
Yeah.
Where is our merch? Our good merch?
Right?
Yes, I agree with that.
Exactly. I agree.
Get Weta Workshop on this shit.
Okay, very quickly. For a long time, a character surprisingly invading someone else's personal space was pretty much one of the few types of crumbs of subtext queer folks could get in mainstream media. While we got a lot more queer textual content in the show, we did get some what the fuck, why are those characters getting so close moments. But from who?
Leandrin and Moraine.
Rand and Perrin.
Rand and Perrin, definitely.
Yes.
Moraine and every woman on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Moraine, just like Alana, Moraine and Leandrin, Moraine and everybody.
Nynaeve at one point.
Probably.
She got pretty close.
Yeah.
Oh, Amalisa and Moraine, I
Yes.
guess.
Moraine just had chemistry with...
Yeah, she has chemistry with
She
everyone.
does.
Since I was there, I kind of also counted moments of affection, including hugs. So how many hugs involving main characters did we get during this first season? And who was the most prolific hugger of all?
Good lord. We really need to get you laid, Camille.
I think
Nynaeve? No, Nynaeve didn't hug anybody.
I think Egwene is the hugger. Egwene is like, I mean, she like gets up to speed and like jump hugs people.
I'm going to speed that up, but like basically we got like 28 hugs.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's like at least
That makes
20.
sense.
There's half of those involve Egwene.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I think her love language is 100% touch because I did not count them as hugs, but there's a bunch of time where she's like basically hanging out on someone's arms. And she does that a lot with Perrin. No wonder Perrin got a crush because I'd have one too if a pretty girl was constantly hanging on my arm.
She jump hugs people. Like she gets a running start
She
and like
does.
pounces them multiple
Yeah,
times.
she does attack hugs.
Honorable mentions to all the dudes that just put a hand on someone's shoulder as a way to provide comfort. I did not count them, but like there's a few. Lan does that at least twice with stepping.
Maxim and Yvonne do it a lot.
Matt does that with Perrin. That's the last question, and that's the what the fuck one. I just found it funny, and I finished that quiz yesterday at 2:30 a.m. So don't Okay, don't judge me. And maybe it's because of my obsession with hands. Will I even be sapphic otherwise? Maybe I just wanted an opportunity to bring up some interesting moments that had not come up before. We're going to talk about rings, especially Aes Sedai rings, and we'll consider any actions that will involve an Aes Sedai rings. Putting it out, removing it, playing with it. How many of those moments does the show have? And like, just give me an order.
420.
So not just wearing it and having it be visible, but like fiddling with it.
Removing it, playing with it, giving it to someone's taking it off, this kind of thing. Putting it on.
I can think of like 4 with just Moraine, so I'm going to say 10.
15.
I will say 13.
It's indeed 15.
Wow.
Oh,
That was a wild guess.
good job, Brie.
One of the reasons I'm waiting to bring that is because I was rewatching some of the episodes while doing that. And I saw Valda stealing a ring and he takes a hand and removing a ring. And I was like, does that count as hand holding?
Oh my God.
Honestly,
Camille.
no, because if it's violence and any sort of sexual content, it's okay. It's no longer porn. It's just good quality American fun. Trust me, if you want to make something no longer bad porn, you just make it more violent, and then everyone's like, woohoo! So
And I wanted to bring that up because there's indeed that moment where Moraine is kissing Swan's ring that is hot, and also Moraine playing with Amalisa's ring that is also I don't know, hot. So yeah,
You think anything involving Rosamund Pike is hot?
I mean,
that's not true. Anything involving Moraine is hot. I don't have a thing with Rosamund Pike.
Moraine just is running around with aggressive chemistry towards all women in her vicinity.
Very aggressive chemistry.
And that is why, not to raise the bisexual Moraine drama or anything, but like, I'm okay with lesbian wizard Moraine because I don't see her noticing a lot of the dudes. She's just running around, vibing on chicks.
No. And she and Tom didn't even interact, so I'm really hoping Tom just dies.
James's hate for Tom can be an entire episode on itself.
Oh my God, it could be. Fucking useless piece of shit.
Okay, let's be nice for our guests.
All right.
Bree, if people wants to find you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter as mostly Bree. And I also hang in various Discords. The Queers of Time one now. And also I like to hang out on like Lesbian Nerdies and Wheel Takes. And you can find my books at kitrosha.com if you want. Please don't read them unless you want the dirty, sexy times. If you think that Robert Jordan's Igloo is spicy and edgy, please run away. Please run away. So I don't want to give you a heart attack.
It was absolutely wonderful having you on the show. I really enjoyed it, and I know everybody else did too. So thank you again, Bree. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for inviting me. I was very excited because obviously I wanted to be on from the moment you announced it. I was just like staring at you all like, let me come on your podcast.
And you manifested it. You manifested it like James manifested the podcast.
I did.
You just have to put it out in the world, and I mean, occasionally the world puts it back in you.
Okay.
So.
In you.
On that note, thank you once again, Bree. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Queers of Time podcast. If you liked our show, please give us a review on Apple Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Queers of Time and our Discord server where we get up to a lot of mischief. If you're able, we'd love to have your support through Patreon as well. We've got a lot of nice benefits there, and this helps us cover the costs of producing the podcast. Thanks, and have a great week.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.